How is everyone doing this fine Sunday? Hope people haven't gone too crazy over the Waking Nightmare event and all that blitzing, but today is a new day, and that means we have the tier list for patch 4.4 to reveal. Now, a bit of a change to the way that I normally do this. Last month I actually made the adjustments live on Tier Maker. This time I have already produced the list and the photo for it, which I will make available online, the Google Docs, and in the description below. But I will be going over each change made as we go through it. So feel free to comment or disagree down below if you feel I got it wrong anywhere. Usually where some people kick up a fuss is usually my B or higher rankings, or that maybe I occasionally underestimated a character in their position. But anyways, without further ado, let's get it started. Alright, and so welcome to my patch 4.4 tier list. So this was done courtesy of Tier Maker, which I still use because I'm awful at infographics. So unless anyone knows a better way to do this, or hey, even wants to help me out do some infographics, then this is the way we're going to get it for now, unfortunately, until I get better at that or find some other method that's a bit easier to do. I just want to let people know also about the categories for those who may have not seen any of the previous tier lists I've done in the past. Anything at the B or above rating is something that I think is worth investing in for one reason or another, with obviously those in the S tier category who stand well above the rest, and really everyone needs to have leveled and geared at some point. Those in the C category, which you can't really scroll down a little bit here, the C category, there's quite a bit of them. Here we go, let's scroll through all of them. Typically are the ones for synergy purposes, probably just for Alliance War at this point, or widening your roster in terms of blitz scoring. But not the ones that are all that useful outside of those game modes, with the exception of a few who might be useful for legendary events or certain campaign instances. Of course, anything in the D or below category really is not something I would recommend, either mostly filled with minions and again for war purposes only, but barely qualify at that with the exception of maybe Rescue, who is key to the power armor team, but again, largely only for war. And then we have really at the bottom, which I'll scroll down here, the don't invest category. Honestly, the most garbo of characters at the moment, although I do want to point out really quickly, oh, it scrolled back up, that's weird, Ant-Man and Wasp, so they're currently in the E, but with a quantum patch supposedly coming on the horizon, I suspect at the very least we're probably going to get them jump from E to C, so we'll have to wait and see next patch though and how that gets reflected on the patch 4.5 tier list in the future. So just wanted to point those out, but everyone else in the E category is pretty garbo though. With the exception of M'Baku and Okoye are in there, only level them, and I think I'll probably say this again later as well, only level them up as necessary for the Flash event for Chaos Theory and nothing more beyond that. But let's get started here. So I also want to let's scroll back up to the top. I also want to point out the creation of the new A+ category, which is basically some from S who I've moved down to A+, and some from A who I've moved up. These are still exceptionally strong characters, but I did want to separate those out of S, who I believe really you can't live without, and those you can, but are still highly recommended. With the exception of Scream, who was added. Actually, no, sorry, I moved Scream down to A. My bad. I think I actually had Scream up in A+, but she's back in A, but we will talk about Scream later down the line as well. No explanations necessary on those still in the A and the S. There hasn't been much movement here, but I will explain on some of the A+ personally. So, Carnage, I have moved from A to A+. I think aside from Symbiote Spider-Man, he's probably the second best character for the team. The passive is just absolutely massive to the team and way more game-breaking than Venom's personally. While he comes close behind, I think Carnage is ultimately better than he is, and he is more of a must-have than Venom is. Thanos is also in the A+ category because I believe having two different versions, and there's Thanos here, two different versions, he is very versatile in almost every single game mode. If he was permanently empowered, he would definitely be in the S tier, hands up down, but he is still amazing nonetheless. Shuri, Ultron, Minerva, and Invisible Woman, all while being awesome at what they do. I don't think they are S material anymore, and so they've been moved down into the A+ category. Minerva particularly has fallen off the raid scene a little bit with the symbiotes now, and honestly, even in Dark Dimension 3 Cosmic, I don't think she's a must-have with Ebony Maw on the scene now as well, so you don't have to use Minerva necessarily if you don't want to. We will see down the line for Dark Dimension 4, so this isn't taking that in consideration yet. Emma Frost is being moved from A to S, so this is a change from last tier list as well. After having much more time than last month to use her, especially as an additional raid member with the symbiotes before I unlocked AntiVenom, but also in Dark Dimension 3 and Alliance War. I have settled on this spot for the moment alongside her milestone compatriot, Symbiote Spider-Man. Black Panther, this is in no particular order, by the way. I might be jumping around a little bit. So Black Panther was moved from C to D, other than for Chaos Theory Flash event. I don't think he's really worth it. Used to be good for the Mystic campaign, but really there are many other options now. Scientist Supreme, so she was moved from A to B. Not as great as she once was many months ago when she was commonly used in the early days of Ultimus 7 and the new Slider version, but with the introduction of symbiotes and other strong support characters, she's kind of being moved aside a bit, and I wouldn't really recommend investing in her as strongly as I used to. So Bullseye moved from D to C. Congratulations on the upgrade, Bullseye. Mostly because of his integration with the Merc Taskmaster War Defense. Not really that great outside of it, but he can be used for the Payday Flash event and still a staple in the Merc team. So I would really only build him for that team, but it's still a very solid War Defense team. So a lot of the characters who are in the C category, like I said, are largely those to expand your wider roster in terms of Blitz and Alliance War. Captain Marvel was moved from A to B. Still a solid. Where's Captain Marvel? Here he is. Still a solid standalone character. Recently made farmable in patch 4.4 in Hero 6.9, but she's not really a staple in any one game mode anymore as she used to be. She was fairly overpowered when she was first released, and definitely used everywhere. But power creep has kind of crept up on her. Definitely shifted her aside a little bit. Still worth your resources if you happen to land some good red stars on her, though, and she's definitely also competing for bio resources, which is a bit of an issue too, for some of the other stronger characters like Black Bolt and the symbiotes as well. So that has added a bit of challenge to wanting to gear her up. Now Gamora was moved from C to D. Gamora's here. We have to just make sure everyone can see. There we go. So personally, I don't think she's even worth being in the C category, which is sad because I used to really love Gamora, but despite having damage, she doesn't really do much else, and I'd rather have probably use Mantis as a 5th for that team with Star-Lord than her personally. Vulture, Shocker, and Green Goblin. Now where are they? I also moved them to the D category as well. Mostly because I don't use them alongside Doc Ock anymore. I use the kind of copy and paste version of Mysterio and Rhino, which are still up here in the C category. Unfortunately, these three have been benched, and I don't really make much use of them except for like a hand-me-down Blitz team that even can't win much, even with just the three of them. Do hope for some additional chargeable Sinister Six in the future, though, so that way maybe the other two will get brought down, and then we'll have two different teams of Sinister Six. But that's hard to tell now. Now, Hand Sentry, he got moved from D to C. Congratulations, Hand Sentry. Probably a minor adjustment, but I do believe he is the best of all the hand characters with Smoke Bomb, and I do hope that they get their day at some point with a rework, which has supposedly been rumored. I don't think for patch 4.5, but maybe for patch 4.6. So keep an eye out for the hand. Now, what's next? Loki was moved from A to B. So where's Loki? There's Loki here. So I moved him down from A to B. Still a solid character and very great in the Asgardian team, but not really as necessary in other game modes other than to unlock Black Bolt and Ward Defense. He's still quite helpful for Cosmic and Mystic nodes if you need a good controller type, though, and worth building him if you need him. Magneto also was moved from A to B. Again, also a really solid character for a legendary, but largely used in a war offense or in a general offense consideration. Not used in many other game modes outside of War and Blitz at this point, and I can't really recall the last time I used him in any campaigns or anything like that. I think he might be available to use in Doom War, I think, alongside some of the mutants, but other than that, I don't really remember using him much else there. I still love my Brotherhood though, but I had to lower him down from higher tier status, which is inevitable due to the power creep that we're facing. And so on that same note, Psylocke was moved from B to C. Where is she? She's over here somewhere. I can't find her, but I know she's in there. There we go. She's here. Psylocke was moved from B to C. Still useful in the context of X-Men, but at this point, if you haven't even built them up yet, I would probably recommend Beast if you can when he becomes farmable. Possibly Red Stars pending on which X-Men you want to build, but Colossus is really the only one that's truly a must on that team. Also, I want to point out, actually I already pointed out M'Baku and Okoye, so again, they're in the E category, that they are used for Chaos Theory, but not much beyond that. I definitely recommend powering up Shuri, Killmonger, and Black Panther, though, for the Chaos Theory event over those two who are currently at the bottom of the tier list. Now, what's next? Sif has been moved from B to C, so Sif is also sitting around here somewhere in this lump of C characters, down here with Heimdall. While still great as a tank for the Asgardian team, I think she isn't as useful as she was months ago. Not really useful in many campaigns, as she's the sole one of the team that's actually not Mystic, and you don't really need to bring her into Dark Dimension 3 Cosmic anymore like some people did in the early days, as there's much better characters available now. Negasonic, I did move from C to B alongside X-23. I think they're both standouts here, and for the team, without having them makes it much more difficult on that X-Force team. So having them powered up more than the others, I think, is really great, and makes a bigger difference by having them more powered. Toad and Blob. I'm just a personal shout out here. I thought about changing them from C to B. They're down here. I have a personal bias with the two of them. I really like using them and playing. Oh, sorry, I have to scroll down a bit more. Toad and Blob here. I really like using them and playing with them, both in Blitz and War, but also in balanced PvP when that was going on more. The duo of them is really powerful, and I have a lot of fun with them. The taunt from Toad to Blob and Blob's counterattacks is really awesome, and I think going through one of the challenges there, the new challenges with Blob, just you have to fight two Blobs and they hit so hard, really just made me appreciate Blob a little bit more. Electro is also getting moved from C to B. Despite really needing that Doc Ock synergy, I do believe as a standalone character she stands above the others with a really powerful ult. She provides debuffs and other reasons you might want to use her, at least for things like the Catalyst Change Blaster challenge, and I just kind of wanted to put her there, so let me have this one. That being said, Swarm is still down at C because you can't really use him, unfortunately, without Doc Ock. Electro you can, though. Now, for the newcomers to the list in patch 4.4, we have Scream, She-Hulk, and AntiVenom. I personally used Scream a lot since release and had a lot of fun using her, and made a significant difference to my raid team on Ultima 7, and for that reason I am putting her in the A category. While symbiotes are truly a force to be reckoned with in raids, there are other team makeups that can do similar things, but I think she is a bit ahead of Venom as well in terms of that overall usefulness, but not as required as Carnage and his T4 passive is, so I think she is somewhere between the two. Unfortunately, I didn't really want to lower down Venom to B because I still think he deserves to be an A right now, but you know, it's funny because actually I have Scream slightly below Venom here on the list, but I do believe that she is a bit better than Venom. And her entire kit is really great for that control that she does. Has amazing moves, and yeah, what can I say about Scream? She's great, and if you have her, do level her up. She-Hulk. Now, we're going to break in between the two symbiotes really quickly here to talk about She-Hulk. Now, personally, I know that her base stats are very high. But honestly, in terms of overall game impact and how useful I think she is in her kit, but not anything to shout home about. And I think that she deserves to stand with Namor in the C category. I also have Namor sitting here somewhere. Here he is here. Now, the reason for this is primarily because she is a war defense character. At the current anyways, and honestly, unlike someone like Emma Frost who has more broad use, I don't really believe that She-Hulk does. This also makes her compete with the likes of Namor, possibly to be used in the Fantastic Four team, and that's just kind of lame. If her traits change, or her team does down the line, I would consider an upgrade to B, because I think that her base stats make her quite strong, but I just don't like what they decided to do with her at this time, but I'm definitely willing to get my mind changed later on. Now, we've come to the last character of the patch, and that is AntiVenom himself. Now, you saw it probably up here anyways when I was going through the list. I have had a little bit more time to use him, and I think there's really a lot of potential here. That being said, I think he deserves to be a little bit above Venom and Scream in terms of his position on the raid team. Not necessarily this has to do with him in Dark Dimension 3, as I think the easiest to use still for DD3 City is the tried and true first three symbiotes, Symbiote, Spider-Man, Carnage, and Venom, and they're all farmable as well. But AntiVenom has an amazing kit, and he elevates the symbiote team to greater heights. Even as a standalone character, you know, he has a really awesome kit, and there's a lot of tricks up his sleeve for AntiVenom. I have also seen some arena battles and some video footage that includes the 4 symbiotes minus Carnage, with Emma Frost or Doc Ock punching up against Black Order, which means that he's quite important for combinations like that to work. Overall, he's a super fun character to round out the last member of the Symbiotes, and while he's not a complete must-have like Symbiote Spider-Man, who really brings that team together, that's the reason why he doesn't get S tier, he definitely is well-deserved at this new A+ position that I made this month. And that's everyone to talk about here, and the changes made to the tier list for this month. We are getting awfully close to the end of this patch, which is going to lead into next Sunday's top 10 of all time list, now that I have had a chance to use everyone from this patch to see if they make it. As a reminder, it's usually people ranked A or above that tend to make that list, but if you want to see who makes the cut and who gets the chop, then you'll have to watch for that next weekend. But that's the end of this video, and if you guys enjoyed watching me talk about Marvel Strike Force and characters, then please smash that like button down below, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And of course, until next time, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Boylan signing out.